All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So the Jets and the Giants just wrapped up the last preseason game of the offseason, right? It sounds crazy to say this, but we're on to Buffalo. The Jets are literally preparing for the Buffalo Bills from here on out for a week one regular season matchup. Josh Allen, Sean McDermott, that defense, they're coming into MetLife Stadium, Monday Night Football, prime time. It is huge. I don't even need to go down the list of why that game is important. Obviously, week one, AFC East rival. It's going to be insane. I'm assuming it's going to be a packed house. Man, it's going to be absolutely nuts. But before we dive into what happened, Aaron Rodgers' debut, all these cool things, I think the first thing that needs to be said, something that is extremely relevant, we're extremely grateful here as Jets fans. There was no serious injuries to the first team. And by the way, I'm holding an entire ring light setup, so that's why like the camera's kind of moving around kind of quickly. But no, in any case, I can only speak for myself here. But I was thinking, I got to be honest, I was a little nervous when Saleh came out and said that not only was Rodgers just going to play in this game, but it's not going to be just a quick three-play, series. You're in and you're out. They let him go, right? They gave him 2 full series. Obviously, he made some pretty nice throws, and it was just awesome seeing him out there. But for me, in the back of my head, I would be lying to you if I said that the injury risk, the risk versus reward here in the final preseason game of the offseason, I think if it was up to me, I probably would have held him out. Like, I know hindsight's 2020 here, but that's just my honest opinion. If you would have asked me, a week or two ago, I think, again, with Rodgers, it's one thing, but then I'm also thinking about, the starting 5 offensive linemen. We've had numerous question marks about that unit so far through the offseason. The last thing I want is, something happened to Becton or something like that, So, of course, that we had Garrett Wilson out there. We had the starting tight ends. And outside of Tanzel Smart on the D line and McCole Hardman looked like he was dealing with a finger. I think the announcer said it was like a dislocated finger or something like that. Outside of that, when we're looking at the first team, nobody got banged up. That is a win in and of itself. That is huge. So when we look at how Rodgers did, he was 5 for 8 on the day, 47 passing yards with 1 touchdown. And overall, he looked, in complete control, not rattled whatsoever. Got to be honest, though, the Giants did make a couple nice plays. I was not expecting Wink Martindale to throw out these blitzes early on. So, it is what it is. I'll tip my cap to him. To me, it kind of looked like the Jets were caught off guard a little bit on that first series, but then in the second series, they kind of caught on like, hey, you know what? The Giants defense, they're not just laying down. They're not just playing this vanilla style of defense. They are sending, they're sending some linebackers up the middle. They are trying to get after us a little bit, albeit that they're backups. And I do think that's also, something to make a note of. To the best of my knowledge, I don't believe the Giants started a single starter. There wasn't a single first teamer out there on offense or on defense. So, we do have to factor that in when we're taking a look at everything. But again, for me, going into the game, I was really not too concerned with, how many touchdowns was Rodgers going to throw? How many what was his completion percentage? All these different types of things. For me, from A-Rod, from the offense, really, I just wanted it to look like it was in control. Does Rodgers know where he's going with the football? Can he find the open guy? Are guys dropping passes? Are guys, running the wrong routes? At the end of the day, it is a new offensive coordinator here. So sometimes that stuff happens. Luckily, though, the Jets were having success on that side of the football. There were a couple plays where, Isaiah Simmons made a sweet play, and I believe it was actually on the first drive of the Jets offense, where he just blew right by, I think it was Michael Carter on like a chip block and instantly got in the backfield. Rodgers kind of had to like maneuver out of the pocket. And he ended up like falling down and like just getting rid of it. And then there was also a play, I think it was either on the second drive, where Rodgers missed a CJ Uzama kind of going towards the sidelines. And it looked like Rodgers was, pretty frustrated after the play. I don't know if he was mad at himself because Uzama was, to me, he was open. you kind of need to make that throw. I don't know if he was mad at Uzama for whatever reason or whatever the case is, but he definitely looked frustrated. I felt like he was really trying to force feed Garrett Wilson the football, just trying to build that on-field, in-game chemistry. I mean, it's one thing to do it in practice, but to do it in-game against, an opponent, against a different team, I think that stuff, of course, has to be established. And we saw that on full display tonight. It's going to be a fun duo to watch all season. I don't think there's anybody questioning that. And of course, understanding they're going up against second, third, and fourth stringers here, guys that are fighting to make the practice squad for the Giants. But with that said, Rodgers and Garrett Wilson, they were just lighting it up, right? It seemed like Garrett Wilson was pretty much open on every single play. I mean, even that granted, the touchdown pass, it was an awesome throw. It reminded me of the Green Bay Packers days, right? Where Rodgers would do that when he just has the one-on-one option on the outside with Devontae Adams, and he would just kind of huck it up to him, let the talented wide receiver go make a play on the football. It's exactly what we saw tonight. It was good coverage though, so it was a nice pitch and catch there by Rodgers and Wilson, but overall in the day, Rodgers was getting the football out of his hands pretty quickly. I felt like the offensive line early held up. Once Zach Wilson came in, it started to get a little weird. There were some running plays where I was looking at like the Giants linebackers coming up and they were just slipping right through the Jets O-line, getting in the backfield and blowing it up. There's a lot of short passes, like as far as the play calling goes right with Zach Wilson. I felt like there was a lot of short little dink and dunk types of things, which has been a consistent theme throughout the preseason so far with Zach. But again, to me, the goal for Zach Wilson isn't so much like, all right, we got to make sure you have a 70 plus completion percentage. We got to get you 2 touchdown passes today. It's more so, can you hit the open guy? Are you mechanically looking okay? Are you making good decisions with the football? Are you playing within the confines of the offense? Are you understanding what the defense is trying to do? And for the most part, Zach looked decent in those categories. The ball placement was a little weird. I felt like really like mid-second quarter on, there was some sloppiness, right? With whether it's like a missed block or like an errant throw, dropped passes. There were just moments where, you're kind of scratching your head, but I definitely got the sense, and I'm speaking as a fan watching the game, there is like a sense of like malaise, right? Like it's time for the regular season. Everybody, it just kind of feels like everybody's at that point where it's like, let's close the book on preseason. It's over with. Cut down the roster on Tuesday, or the deadline's Tuesday at 4. Get ready for the Buffalo Bills. We have over a week to prepare for that huge game. It kind of feels like everybody within the building is kind of at that point as well. Now, as far as the defense is concerned, man, the defensive line looked freaking unblockable. Jermaine Johnson, Bryce Huff, Quentin Jefferson getting in the backfield. Quentin Williams was out there making his preseason debut. The defensive line was all over the place. All over the place. What do they have? 2 sacks in the first 2 drives. I mean, if they weren't sacking Tyrod Taylor early on or Tommy DeVito, they were getting in the backfield, getting them off balance, forcing them to escape, racking up a lot of QB hits, mauling running backs, making plays in open field in the flat. I think that was also huge by the Jets' first team. It was awesome. Like, I felt like the linebacker play was fantastic. It just looked like a well-oiled machine defensively. Guys knew exactly where they needed to be. Guys were right there, right? Like, when a play is snapped, we had guys flocking to not where the football was, where the play was going to be. And that's why things were neutralized so quickly. So it speaks to the talent level of this team. It speaks to the knowledge of the defensive system and these defensive plays that are being rattled in. The defense is going to be an absolute force this season, no matter who we play. Now, is it perfect? No. There were a couple moments where I felt like, okay, this isn't necessarily a quote-unquote bad thing because it's preseason, because I feel like everybody's kind of gearing up for the regular season here. If this was happening in the regular season, yeah, I would have an issue with it. Number one, the penalties, right? There was a moment in literally the first drive of the game where Jermaine Johnson barely touched Tyrod Taylor out of bounds. If I was out there, would I have thrown the flag? No, probably not. But I'm not a referee, right? And they will throw the flag, personal foul, 15 yards on a play like that. It's a late hit. We had numerous moments last year in multiple games throughout the season where the turning point, if you will, in game was because of a stupid penalty, right? Just a boneheaded decision. Can't take your foot off the gas when you're rushing the quarterback. He delivers a pass, bam, he gets hit. It's an extra 15 yards. Automatic first down. Doesn't matter if the guy drops it or what, right? Automatic first down. So situations like this, again, it's preseason, stuff happens. I get it. You're ready to go. You're ready to go out and, tackle and kind of get aggressive with another team. It's preseason, these games don't really matter that, like, the outcome, the score does not matter in these games. But you can, if I'm Saleh, if I'm Ulbrich, I'm taking that play and I'm using it as a reminder to everybody. Hey, the defense is on fire. The offense couldn't do a single thing against this Jets first team defense. But here's an instance where we just allowed them a free 15 yards. So we can take these negatives in the preseason and use it as a learning experience for, the regular season here. But all in all, I was impressed with the day. I'm happy that, we can just put preseason in the rearview mirror, move forward, get ready for the regular season, and really start the build, right? Starting the climb here to get to the postseason. I don't want to think that far ahead. Of course, we just got to have the 1-0 weekly mindset. But it does get you fired up, right? But I will say this. When I look at the Rodgers throw, of course, it was beautiful. But the one throw that I was blown away with, I don't want to say I was shocked because I feel like he has the potential to make these types of throws. But man, Zach Wilson had that pass to McCole Hardman. We were talking about it before, and unfortunately Hardman hurt his finger on the play and ended up dropping it, just couldn't control it through the ground in the contact from the defender. But that throw was just beautiful. And it wasn't just throw, right? It wasn't just the arm strength. It wasn't just the ball placement. Zach Wilson, if you go back and rewatch it, he got lit up. He got lit up on that play, and he knew it was coming. He stood in the pocket, he stood strong, and he delivered a beautiful football down the field. If that was in the regular season, that to me probably would have been like the Sports Center #1 weekly play or whatever it is. Like, that was awesome. That was flat out awesome. One of my favorite throws of the preseason in total. So yeah, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Let's go. I got my 53-man roster prediction dropping tomorrow at some point. I'm pumped up. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks so much, and as always, go Jets.